So as some of you may be aware, I'm a bit of a Mina fan. But for every amazing Mina in this shot currently, we're not here to talk about any one of them whatsoever. We are here to talk about this Mina. Welcome, my friends, to another Alliteration gaming video. This time we have a deck profile on the alien queen herself, Ashido Mina Pinky from My Hero Academia collectible card game. I am your host, Alliteration Gaming, and today we are going to take a dive into what makes up the super-powered Chaos Mina deck. So, for a little bit of a setting, I suppose. So when Mina first came out, obviously, I knew I had to build her, right? It's Mina. I had to make her, right? And I looked at this card and I said, wow, what a cool card, but what in the world do I do with it? What do I do with this random ability and this... What do I do with it, right? So before we get into that, let's go over what Mina does, right? So Mina has two abilities. She's a 7-hander with 20 health on Chaos, Life, and Water with two abilities. A once per turn response to discard a card. After you check a card, you can play it as your next form this turn without checking. So just a really simple example of how that works. Let's say I am sitting here playing the Hero Academia card game, and I play this requesting assistance, and I check this. I can now respond with Mina, discard this card, play this as my next form, I don't have to check for it. Very simple. That's how that works. A little bit of a spoilers on my spams, but I mean, we're under Chaos. Like, you think we're not playing these cards. So that's how she works, and this is a very powerful ability. Obviously, it gets better or worse depending on what you check and how lucky or unlucky you are. Which is kind of one of the main reasons that I thought that, like, this character would be so challenging to build around, because I'm a very consistent player. I don't like playing, like, random RNG type decks, so I thought, God, what do I do with this, right? But we'll get into there. And then her second ability is an enhance. Your attack gets 1 speed. If it deals damage, you gain a health. Also another very powerful ability that, spoiler alert, this deck is actually completely designed to take advantage of. So at first, well, I looked at Water, didn't really see a lot that I could do with Water under her. Like, all of Water's best attacks are like the Sue attacks, and they have like combos and stuff and need like their proper setup, and I didn't really feel like I could get anything, like, I didn't feel like she synergized super well with any of those lineups. And then Life was really cool because you get a lot of really cool foundations and cards. You get some cool attacks in general, and I was kind of playing around with like Observant Students to check the top card of my deck and try and like set up my next check, but ultimately I just really didn't feel like I was getting a lot of value. And then I was like, Chaos, and I was like, well, what's under Chaos? Chaos has got a throw and 2 attacks that deal 1 damage no matter what. And I thought maybe the key to playing this character is to abuse this second E here and just play a very value deck. So that's kind of the point of this deck. We're not really like we have high rolls, of course. I mean, you could probably see it right there, right? We have high rolls with this ability, but we're really just designed to take advantage of it no matter what, and really just abuse the E and like kind of be a bit of a grindy 7-hander, right? Even with our 20 health, we can, you know, unless they're playing decks that like really burst us down, we can actually sustain through a lot of different turns. And between our ability to kind of like play whatever you want, like a really underrated aspect of this ability is the toolbox aspect of it. Oh, there's that foundation that's really good in that matchup. Well, let me just pick that up real quick, right? Let me just build that real quick. Yeah, I'm not high rolling, you know, a free attack at the end of my chain, but who cares, right? I'm getting what I need. So like, there's a lot of really underrated aspects to that ability, as you know, rather than just like, oh, I can play 2 pillar swings in a turn, right? Or something crazy like that. We do that though, spoiler alert, we do love to do that. But yeah, so that's Mina, and that's kind of like the philosophy of this build. I'm gonna set her right here, and then we're gonna get right into the deck. We're gonna get right into the attacks. The first attack is of course gonna be 4 copies of our favorite pillar swing. This super cool card from the Plus Ultra Pack. What does this super cool card do? So first of all, it's a 6 diff with a 3 check, has a +2 low block, and it's a 3 mid for 8. Those are some pretty all over the place stats. It's pretty slow, but it's kind of fat. It's got a sick block. Chaos like doesn't really get to low block very efficiently, so this is like super nice for us. But it is on a 6, so let's see. What do we get for all that? Well, first of all, we're Charged Summon Weapon. Doesn't do anything for us, don't worry about that. But Stun 2, that's our magic word there. That is our drug right there. Stun 2 is a hell of a drug. Playing 2 pillar swings in a turn pretty much says it's time for you to pick it up. It's you better have like the best blocks in the world. You better check like a god. And this card has really 2 insane enhances. If it's completely blocked, it goes to the momentum, and in the damage of it cannot be reduced below printed. So of course with Mina, this is actually a 4 mid for 8. And so like what is like the main purpose of this card in the deck other than just like high rolling a big attack? So the main thing about this card is this is kind of like your best opener and your best finisher, depending on when you get it, right? So like the goal of this deck is to kind of just like build out really hard and then like use Mina to kind of like sustain for a few turns until you eventually set up the foundations and the momentum that you need for like a 7-attack kill turn. That's kind of the rough game plan of this deck, and you'll see how that comes to fruition as we go through more of the cards. But basically the goal of this card is to just open up, be a stun 2, eat one of their blocks, and then they complete block and it goes to momentum. And then of course the other aspect of that as well, if they half block it, cool, then they take 4 and you get to heal 1. And I mean, it has to stay there, and then it'll go to momentum at the end of the turn anyway. So with Mina, it's like a complete win-win scenario card, and it really just like set like the stun 2 and the taking the block and the momentum just like sets up the beginning of that kill turn really efficiently, and it clears your progressive too, which is like really insane. So that's like the full value of Pillar Swing in this deck and like what it really does for us. And you'll kind of understand more as it goes on. And then of course, if we check it like at the end of our string and we get to play it with Mina, they're probably tapped out, they probably don't have more blocks, and it just swings for, you know, 8 big damage and probably kills them. So that's what I mean when it's like our best opener and our best finisher, depending if it's in our hand or if we check it with Mina. So it's a really cool card in this deck because of that. Next card we play is 4 copies of Zero Grav Lift. This is our 3 high for 6 throw, and it also has an enhance from the momentum to remove itself from the game after your attack resolves as your momentum. This is an insane ability. This essentially lets us play Ochako's kit and also be Ochako for 1 turn once we have one of these. This is kind of what I mean a little bit by setting up our momentum. Getting like a couple of these and like your Meteor Showers and your Electric Jolts is kind of like the whole game plan of this deck to set up that big like 7-attack turn essentially. And when I say 7-attack turn, I mean you're a 7-hander and you're gonna have access to like 3 or 4 of your Meteor Showers, and you're gonna swing probably 7 times. And progressive doesn't matter to you because of this card and because of Pillar Swing getting rid of itself and because of Mina playing a free one that ignores the check. So that's what I mean when I say the 7-attack turn. You can see how it's kind of like coming to fruition. Also, it's a throw, meaning they can't avoid the 1 heal that you get off of Mina with it, which is really cool. So it's the guaranteed damage. It's another reason why I was really attracted to building off of Chaos, because we got access to that card. Life does have access to this card as well as the Deku throw, so you get 2 throws, but we also get Electric Jolt in here and Float Combo. So you round out with a lot more. Well, you round out with a couple more attacks that deal damage no matter what, but also I think the card pool is just like also a lot more beneficial for her. Next thing we play is 4 copies of Electric Jolt. This is like my favorite attack in the deck. I love this card so much. This card's so annoying. So it's a 3 mid for 4 on a 4 diff with a nice little high block. It has EX2, which is relevant sometimes, and Stun 1, which is almost always relevant. It goes to momentum face up, and in the momentum you can flip it to commit one of the rival foundations. You get to pick. So this is a selective committing. Kaminari cards let us selectively commit things, which is insanely strong. There's so many like really nice things you want to tap down, and getting some of these sets up the kill turn so hard. And like if you get like 2 of these in there and you play a Pillar Swing, like you're committing 4 of their things. You know, maybe you play a second Pillar Swing, you're committing 6, like they're dead. If you get like a shock treatment, you might commit 5 or 6, like they're just dead. They're just dead. Like you just tap them out. It's not even about the selective committal at this point. It's just the extra stun and tapping them out is crazy. And also, if it's completely blocked, it still deals 1 damage during the damage step. So once again, it procs our Mina and will always go to momentum. So like basically your opponent really like they can't stop you. Like even if they block all your stuff, they cannot stop you from setting up your momentum and your kill turn. Except, you know, for stuff like wall cling, or if they like somehow reduce all of the damage to 0, something like that, right? Next attack we play is 4 copies of Meteor Shower, my favorite ultra rare in the whole freaking game. It is a 4 diff on a 3. It's a 4 high for 5 high for 5 with Mina, which is like so randomly much more annoying. And it has really awesome ability. So when it goes to momentum, it goes face up, and then you can discard a momentum to take another Meteor Shower from your discard pile and put it into your momentum. So you just trade out one of your face down momentums with a Meteor Shower in there. And then from the momentum, you can discard a card and add it to your hand. So this is what I really mean when I say like the 7-attack turn. Between all the ways you have to ignore progressive and buff your checks, once you get like the Meteor Showers and the Grav Lifts set up, you will play 7 attacks, because no matter what you draw, you're gonna have access to all of your Meteor Showers. So that's kind of what I mean by like you're trying to go through your deck really fast and like play a few of these and maybe one of these, and these if they can hit, right? You know, if they can hit, it's really the only value there. And just set up that like big kill turn. It's kind of the general game plan of the deck. And then to round out the attacks, we have some tech slots. We have 2 copies of Float Combo from the DLC. This card is like kind of cool. It's kind of something I'm experimenting with, but it is pretty nice. It's a 5 diff on a it's a 5 diff with a 3 check, and it's a 6 high for 4, 7 high for 4 in Mina. It can combo with a high attack to change its speed and damage, or to swap them, which is kind of neat because like if they're tapped out, it can just come in as a 7 damage move with Mina, which is pretty gnarly. And if it's completely blocked, it still deals 1 damage. So again, it's just another like emergency heal for us, and it's a guaranteed momentum. Like the thing about this deck is like because of what we're setting up and our desire to heal, like when we're attacking early mid game, it's less to deal damage and more to set up our momentum and to heal with Mina. Like that's the main goal of attacking during like the early game phase. So really, your attack still dealing 1 is kind of like more important because you're gonna heal. But also like it comes in at 7 speed normally, so it's probably just gonna always deal its 4, which is kind of nice. Like 6 printed speed is just kind of crazy. So it's probably gonna get that nice damage in. And then the last attack is 2 copies of Ice Storm. This card is insane, man. This is a 4 diff, check the 3. It's a 4 low for 4. It has Breaker 2 and Powerful 3. Insane. And it's a +2 mid block. Crazy, crazy, crazy. And it can't be blocked by attack cards, and it has a pretty spooky Deadlock Enhance to get 2 speed, and it can't be reduced, which is kind of cool. But it's really the Breaker 2 that I play this card for. Like I really like to see it as I play 18 attacks, and then this is just like an action that has Breaker 2. But also this totally comes in and kills people randomly at some points because like they see Ochako's kit and they're like, okay, cool, I'll hold nothing but highs because then I can half block this, so it doesn't go to momentum. I can block this normally, and I can just take this because like you kind of just almost always take the stack because like it's just really annoying to block. And you're gonna take 1 anyway. And then if they hold, if they hold low highs, you just come in with this is your only low. And like if they don't see you ever check this, they're like, man, he just doesn't have a low in his deck. And then this just comes in and like fishes out all your momentum. Like that's the thing, right? If you don't have all your meteor showers to make like 7 attacks, you can make like 3 or 4, and then just use all your momentum on this at the end. And like if they're tapped out, it's gonna be a 5 speed with Mina. And if they've blocked like once, it's probably unblockable. If they're all tapped out. Or they have to check a 6, or if they've blocked 2 things, it's unblockable, right? So like it's really, 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 really crazy card. I love this card. This is like one of the last additions I made to the deck, and I feel like it rounds out the attacks so perfectly. The only other attacks like I would really consider playing, so like Blitz Rush is one I toyed around with for a while to gain damage for every card momentum, and like it's a 4 speed with stun 1, whereas Pillar Speed's a 3 speed with stun 2. So like as far as the foundation committal to block it's exactly the same in that sense. However, Pillar Swing starts out, and they also like start out at the same, but I do like Pillar Swing's block zone a lot better. And also I like that Pillar Swing going to the momentum is like a really big part of it, because it just lets you do a lot of really strong things early game. Like if you get if you have like a meteor shower and drop and you can like throw Pillar Swing like really early on, then step to momentum, then play meteor shower, pitch the momentum, get a meteor shower. Like it's just really crazy getting that momentum. Like it's kind of like the pull no punches card. Like it gives you that momentum like when you shouldn't have it, like earlier than you should have it, and not when your opponent was expecting to deal with it, which is really strong. That's why I like the Pillar Swing better than Blitz Rush. I think the Pillar Swing just does more for this deck's game plan specifically. And then I was also, so before I was playing Float Combo in these last 2 slots, I was playing Indiscriminate Shock. This is also a really cool card. It's a 3 low for 5 that stuns 1 and gets a damage for each committed rival foundation. It's also a low block, which we do like too. This card's really cool. I think you could totally play this instead of Float Combo. I think both are really good in that slot. I haven't really found that I prefer one like way more than the other. I just kind of like Float Combo a little better right now because like this is kind of like you want to play this at the end of a string, and that's just like not really. Like, I don't know, I guess like you could play a Pillar Swing, commit a thing with a Jolt, eat it, and then play this, and it's going to be like a bunch of damage, but like it's really slow, and it's kind of just going to be like a pseudo Pillar Swing at that point, and just like eat up a block more than likely. And Float Combo just serves an entirely different purpose, which is kind of what I want that 2 of slot to serve. And there's not really any other attacks I would play. Kaminari's other attacks and Ochako's other attacks don't really synergize super well in this deck, and also like this attack package is just perfect. Like these 16 are like everything you want to kill people. Like that's your whole game plan right there. And then this is just kind of like handy, and this is mostly just there for our breaker and our random kill. So that's our attack lineup. It's 20 attacks. This is a 55 card deck, by the way. It's 20 attacks, which like I feel like it could be a little less. Like, I think if you could go down to like 18 if you want to go to a 50 card deck and then cut like a couple other things. But I really like it 55. I think it's perfectly fine. I go through the deck really fast, and I find my meteor showers still pretty efficiently. So I think it's okay. So now before we move on to foundations, let's talk about the coolioest card in this format, in this game, in this deck, and that's 4 copies of Plus Ultra. Yes, the deck plays 4 freaking Plus Ultras. Why does it do that? Well, if you don't know what this Coolio card does, when you block with it, it reduces the speed of their attack to 0, so it's always on a 5, or, you know, plus whatever progressive. And then it's a UA first enhanced to pitch momentum and double your attack speed or damage. It's just insane. This card synergizes so well with like every single attack we have. So like when it comes to Pillar Swing, if you play a Pillar Swing like at the end of a chain and you know it's unblockable, you can just make it 16 damage, and that's crazy insane. Like that's just gonna kill them. Or if it comes in and you can double it into a 7 speed and make it 8 unblockable, really strong. If they go to 6 or less life, you can just Plus Ultra the damage on the throw and make it a 12 damage, 6 unblockable, 12 damage throw, 6 unblockable. Very cool. Electric Jolt, you can EX to make it really fast and then make it an unblockable 8 damage. Again, same thing as Pillar Swing. Very cool. Meteor Shower, I guess, can be like a 10 damage. It's not really any like direct synergy there. Just like, you know, good card on good card. You can float combo to make it like big damage or big speed, whichever or, and then like you can just come in with an Ice Storm on the end and make it a 9 speed, which is like going to be unblockable on almost all circumstances, and then just powerful whatever you need to kill them. Card's just crazy. Also, this deck is like actually a lot more defensive than you would think, and Plus Ultra like just helps us block like a champ. We also play Self-Assured in this deck, which lets us change the zones of attacks, which means that you can like perfect block all kinds of stuff by making it a mid with Plus Ultra, which is kind of schnasty. I'll put these Coolio cards down here, and now let's talk about some foundations. So the 2s in Chaos are really weird because they're almost all like kind of really niche cards, if that makes sense. Like they're almost all sideboard cards that you can like kind of main as well. It's a really weird effect. But one that doesn't fit that bill is our most generously good one. I play 4 copies of Cool Student. This card is freaking awesome. So this is a 2/5 that says you can discard a momentum to give your next check to play a card +2. And then you can add it to the top of your deck. So like this is really good. Like this is just really insane. This is also what really helps like our super aggro strings. Our super aggro strings string out like the 7 attack turn. This can make it possible by just like shutting down our progressive essentially. And it's just a very good card. And also like the thing about this deck is you accrue so much momentum in this deck because you have all these attacks that either go to momentum no matter what. Like these literally all will give you momentum no matter what. And this one, like these are the only ones that don't, and you really only play this to kill them. And then this, you only really play this when you know it'll hit. So like almost all the time you're just gaining so much momentum. So like I chose to kind of use it as like a really passive resource in this deck, right? So we have like, you know, we have like the little bit of EX and powerful here. We have Plus Ultra to constantly dupe our things, and then Cool Student just lets us use our momentum like as committed foundations essentially. So I really love this card of the deck. Cool Student is super duper cool. Really helps us get there. Next we have 4 copies of Villains Defeated. This is a really insane card. So this is a promo card. It's from the box topper pack. So it says, flip after you discard any number of cards due to your rival's effect, draw a card, playable while committed. We don't really use this part of the ability. There's like not that much discard in the format, but like whenever Hardened Chop comes in, like it is kind of nice. We just get to, you know, get our card back. But the main effect you play it for is after your rival's block stack resolves, remove it from the game and gain 2 health. This is really good. This randomly messes up a lot of decks. Like anyone that wants to combo, or anyone that wants to like keep their attacks in their cycle or like send them to their momentum, like I mean it's really good against like all these attacks basically. Anything that they really want to go to momentum at the end of the turn, you can just get rid of. So like it denies their momentum, it denies their combos, and it gains you 2 health, which like once you start, like the more you stack healing in this, obviously the better it is. So this card gives us a lot more healing in the deck that we didn't have before. This one took me a while before I put it in the deck, but once I put it in and tried it out, I was like, yo, this is insane. So now the 2 start getting really weird. So we have 2 copies of Self-Assured. This card is really sick. It's a unique foundation. It does check a 4 sadly, but we can commit it to change the zone of this attack. This works on our attacks or our opponent's attacks. So this really helps us block like a champ. Like it's really easy for this deck to full block things between this and a card you'll see later on, Infinite Potential. It's really easy for us to full block things in this deck, and then when we do half block, we just flip Villains Defeated and we just gain whatever half damage we took back, and then we gain the rest of it
it back on our pokes next turn, and then we go back to 20 while we set up our kill turn, and like that's just what this deck kind of wants to keep doing. It's like a weird like half poke, half backswing deck. But it's so cool. And like the second effect, you can destroy itself to draw a card for every 4 ranged attacks. We don't play enough ranged attacks for that to matter. It's like literally just these two, I think. Oh, this is a range too. So we have 8, I guess, but like that's never really gonna happen. But I guess sometimes it could maybe draw 1 card. But I've never done that ability. Next we have 2 copies of Irrefutable Force of Nature. This is another really strong card. This card says, commit, seal a rival earth, fire, or water, asset, or foundation. This card's really good. Also, it can remove itself to seal any asset or foundation. This card's really good against a lot of things. We really love this against any coordinated effort deck because we just get to turn it off every turn. Even though we have to like commit we have to commit a thing just to prevent their coordinated effort from being used, but that is still better than coordinated effort getting used. So it's really nice against that. And in general, it's nice against a lot of other things like the earth, fire, water spread pretty much says you hit almost anything. Like at least almost every deck has those symbols in it somewhere, and if they're built on one of the symbols, which earth and fire are really popular symbols to build under, so most of the time you're getting to seal anything in their deck. So really good card. I was maining all 4 for a while without siding the rest, and it was pretty good, but like it just kind of feels really wasteful in those matchups where it's not that great. But ultimately, it's definitely going to depend on your local meta and what you face a lot and what you struggle against. Next, we have 2 copies of Wealthy Aspirations. This is a pretty neat card. I'm going to be honest, I play this almost exclusively for the low block. It is the only 1 low in Chaos, I believe, and like our only other low that we have that we actually want to block with is Irrefutable, which like we almost always want to play that card, and we almost always want to play Pillar Swing, although we do get to hold it quite a bit because sometimes it's just not that optimal to play it really early on, and like it's more so just, well, I'm just gonna wait to check it, right? So like we do actually block with Pillar Swing quite a bit. It's pretty nice to hold that as a block. But Wealthy Aspirations is really just there for the low block, but it has a cool ability. It's unique, but that doesn't matter because it either removes or flips itself. The first enhance is pretty lame. You can remove it from the game to look at a momentum and turn one face up. Like, I guess you can reuse like Electric Jolt because it flips itself, but like that's the only real application it has. I don't really use that ability. However, after a card is added to your momentum, flip and add the top card of deck to your momentum. This I definitely use. This ability is really nice. Again, like momentum isn't like it's not make or break for this deck, right? Like it's not like our win con, it's just another passive resource for us. So like it's just a nice bonus resource basically. And the way this card works is, so at the end of your turn you build and move things momentum from right to left. So if you played an attack and it dealt damage, which it probably did, right? And it goes to momentum, you build this, like you play that attack, then build this. This builds down first, and then the attack goes to momentum, and then you can immediately respond and flip for a momentum. So this really just says, like, when you build it, if you've hit them this turn, you just build it face down and get a momentum, which is really cool how that works. So it's just a nice card. It really just kind of like rounds out our twos, because there's like nothing else that I want to main deck. And the last 2 is 1 copy of Shock Treatment. This is like the neatest one of in the deck. It's a unique, and it has an enhanced on your attack to pitch momentum and selectively commit one of their foundations. It's really nice when it happens. Also, you can destroy it to commit a rival foundation. That's during you or their attack, so it's kind of nice in that sense too. Like between like an Electric Jolt or 2 in the momentum and this card, you can like tap them down really hard during their turn and like really basically just wait for them to check bad once, and then you just mess up the whole rest of their turn by tapping all their stuff down. But in general, it's just a nice, handy, like, one of stun. If I never see this card in the game, it's totally fine. When I do see it, it's neato. Now for the spams, we got 4 copies of Infinite Potential. This card's awesome. It is a 1 high block, which is just sexy, man. And it has a response to flip when they play an attack, make it a high. So basically, between this card and this card, that's just how we deal with like not having low blocks in this deck. Because yeah, there are only 8 low blocks in this deck, and I don't even want to hold most of them. So these 2 cards is kind of how we deal with decks that have a lot of low attacks, and we have a lot of low blocks in our sideboard as well. So we can also address it in that sense. But for the most part, like decks playing that much low aren't that prevalent. Low attacks and low blocks are kind of rare. Like every deck just kind of has that 1 low attack basically that you have to be ready for. So you just kind of hold it for that for that swing. And if like your local meta has something that's like really abusing lows, you can obviously change this up. But this is what works really well for me. Then we have 4 copies of Clever Distraction. This is a really nice spam. It just says flip to give their high or low attack -2 speed. It's really good. It's just a free speed reduction is always good on a high or a low, which is like the hardest things for us to block anyway, because like when it comes to mids, we just always have plus ultra to block, so that's totally cool. Or Ice Storm, which like is on a 2, yeah, but we don't even care because we're breaker 2 in the Mina. And then we have 2 copies of Precise Control. This is a really nice card. It's a +3 mid block with Breaker 1, and it can enhance add itself to the hand. It's just a nice emergency button if you overextend, or like it lets you overextend, and if they come back with like 3 attacks and you only held 2, you can just pick this up and have that last block. It's not a great block, but you know, it can get you there sometimes, and it's just a nice emergency button. And then for the zeros, we have 4 copies of Requesting Assistance. Requesting Assistance is a really good card. It is a 0 that can flip if you have 1 or more momentum, ready a foundation that has not been readied this combat phase. So it's just 2 foundations on a 0, which is just really crazy, and it's a nice mid block as well. It's just a very good card. Once again, like it's crazy because like we can be sitting there with like 4 foundations, but if we have like this and this, or like this, we actually have like 6 to 7, you know, as far as like defensive committal options go, right? So it's really crazy like how deceptive Chaos's foundations can be in that sense. And then the last of the spams, we got 2 copies of Release. Release says destroy a foundation. Your check to block this attack gets +2. It's on a 4, which is Sag. We do have 4 4s in this deck, which thankfully isn't that many, but the effect is insane and completely worth it, although it's definitely why I don't play 4 of it, because I don't like checking a 4 all the time. And I don't feel like it's completely necessary in this deck because we don't go to Deadlock super often. But once again, just more very deceptive ways to like abuse our checks. Oh, +2 to our check, +2 to our check, you know. Flip from this is a 1 for 2, this is a 1 for 2. Like these are all just like 1 for 2s or 0s for 2s anyway. Like there's a lot of like really cool options. If you'll kind of notice, this deck's entire foundation lineup is almost all defensive. Most of the time when I throw an attack down, I'm not touching a single button on any of these cards really, unless I need to like offensively seal something, right? The attacks and then Mina do all of the aggressive work in this deck, and the foundations keep us alive, because Mina does not have any way to keep herself alive aside from her heal, and then like the heal is just kind of like a nice supplement on all these defensive options that creates this really cool deck that, like I said, just wants to like poke at them with all these attacks, keep healing back up as much as you can, surviving their big kill turns, and then setting up your super huge kill turn. And that's kind of the whole deck, and that's its philosophies. Only thing I need to go over now is the sideboard. The sideboard is pretty important. It's literally all 2s, and it's the funniest thing in the world. So first thing we have in the sideboard is 4 copies of Short Circuit. This card's really good. It can destroy itself to put a non-charge attack back to its printed damage. This is just our stat reset. It's really good against big stuff like Reciprocal Burst, like Detroit Smash, anything that gets like really big. Hell, I guess it's pretty. Oh no, these are non-charges, so it's not good against those. But anything like these are like the only charge attacks that like really get big. So like the non-charge part doesn't really matter too much. It pretty much resets anything we need to and just helps us stay alive. But it's I was maining it for a while. Like I mained 2 in this 2-out slot, but like I don't know. I just don't feel like this card is essential enough in the main board. Maybe if I had like a bunch of All Might and a bunch of Ida and a bunch of Nomu players that were just like throwing these 8 billion damage swings at me constantly. But I don't have that. If you have that, I guess you could probably main 2 side 2. But I just side all 4. It's just it just works for me. Next I side 3 Encouraging Training Partner. This is a super cool card. It has a Midoriya or a Rocco response that we can't use, but we can flip and change an attack speed to 4. Once again, this is really good against those super giant, super fast moves come in. It's like our alternative stat reset to Short Circuit, but only for speed. But also, if they're playing a deck that is just like mediatoring or shock absorption or evil gazing us to death and like taking away all of our speed, we can flip and change our speed back up to 4 if they put us below 4, and then we can Mina to make it 5. So this says my attack is 5 speed no matter what with Mina, which is like really cool. So it's a nice application it has there. It's a very multifaceted card. And then I side 1 more copy of Self Assured. This is really just for like Shigaraki. Shigaraki and Sero are kind of the main ones that come to mind, and I'd probably side it against something like anything that's playing a Reciprocal Burst engine, because like I probably need to change Reciprocal Burst to not be a low, because then I probably can't block it. Like I just want to change Reciprocal Burst to a mid and then like block it with plus ultra and feel really good about myself. So we side the 3rd copy of that. I wouldn't side a 4th. I never would want to have like 4 of a unique card in my deck unless it's Coordinated Effort, the coolest card in the game. And then the last side option is the other 2 Refutable Force of Natures. which is just, yeah, once you're in a, like against any coordinated effort matchup or just anything that anything where you just really need, like there's just some matchups where you just really want to get things out of there. Anything with wall cling, you really want to seal wall clings all day, because you don't like your things not dealing their damage they need to. It's a really bad time. Goes against our whole game plan. But yeah, guys, that's the deck. The only like thing that I really like this list. The only thing that I've really toyed around with is I've toyed around with making a 50 card deck by cutting these two, and then one or two of these, depending on how many foundations I wanted to cut, which I think is a very, because like right now it's 20 attacks, 4 actions, and 31 foundations for 55. And I think if you want to cut 5, you could probably, yeah, I would probably cut 2 float combos. I would make plus ultra a 2 of, and then I'd cut 1 foundation somewhere. I don't really know where. It could really be anywhere. Like a lot of these ratios are kind of like you can mess with them. But I like it as I am right now. That's something I'm going to test more in the future. But I really like where the deck is right now. I've won a couple locals so far with this deck. It's very fun. I've had really good success with it. Oh yeah, so like another card that I did want to mention real quick before I end off is these 2 foundations are ones that I toyed around with for a while as well. Frozen is you can destroy a foundation to make them commit 1. This is like really cool for the aggro extending turns, but I just couldn't really find I couldn't find a slot in this deck that I like it better in. And then Charged Up is like a really powerful card under Chaos to just add anything from your discard pile to your momentum. But we like only have like so many things because like this flips itself, so we have to get rid of it. This removes itself from the game after, so like, you know, it's nice. And like, yeah, we can check it and then put it in with this, but almost anytime we check it, we're playing it with Mina, right? And also like losing a foundation for a momentum in this deck isn't that good because a momentum is more of a resource and not a win con. So like I'm really just trading one resource for another, which is like not super great in this deck. But yes, guys, that is the Ashido Mina under Chaos deck. I may make another build for her in the future. I kind of want to toy around with the Life Win more, but this is the one I've been trying to slowly perfect over the last few weeks since we got access to all of those cool promo cards, and of course Mina herself in the normal pack. And I really like this list. If you've been testing a Mina, any kind of Mina list yourself, I would love to see it. I would love to talk more about this character. This is my favorite character in the game right now to play. I love playing Mina so much, and I think this deck is an absolute blast. And if you do try this deck out, let me know what you think and let me know how it goes for you. I would love to hear some more feedback and criticism on it. Anyway, guys, that is it. This video is going on long enough because I cannot stop talking about the alien queen herself, baby, Miss Pinky. That is the deck, guys. That is the deck. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching the whole thing, and I'll see y'all in the next one. Bye-bye.